With your news and details, I am Norman Gobin. Here are your stories. And locally, Guyana has recorded real gross domestic product growth of 14.5% and a growth of 4.8% in the non-oil economy during the first half of this year, despite being faced with challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic and the devastating floods experienced from May to July. Due to the unprecedented floods which impacted particularly the agriculture, forestry, and mining sectors, along with the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, which will spill over into the last half of this year and even beyond, the revised full-year forecast for real GDP growth in 2021 is now 19.5% overall and 3.7% for the non-oil economy. This is according to the Ministry of Finance's mid-year report, which is expected to be tabled by Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, at the first sitting of the National Assembly once it resumes after recess. Operations of the Guyana-Suriname ferry increased to 3 trips weekly. Effective Monday, October 11, 2021, the MB Sandaka, which is temporarily plying the Guyana to Suriname route, will experience its twice-weekly trips to 3 Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It was one of the decisions taken during a stakeholders meeting led by Guyana's Minister of Public Works, Juan Edgel, and his Surinamese counterpart, Albert Jubitha. That should be Jubihana. The meeting, which also included directors from the board of the Kanawaima Management Company and the Kanawaima Ferry Service Incorporated, agreed that subject to a joint final inspection and approval from regulatory maritime authorities, the Kanawaima Ferry, which is currently docked for repairs, will resume daily service from October 24, 2021. The government has procured an oxygen plant to help support the country's COVID-19 response, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony revealed on Wednesday. The use of medical oxygen is critical for the treatment of persons hospitalized with COVID-19. However, the current consumption of oxygen at the Infectious Diseases Hospital at Liliendal, Greater Georgetown, is proving to be costly for the Health Ministry, Dr. Anthony said during his daily COVID-19 update. There are currently 136 persons hospitalized with the virus, and of this number, 81 patients require oxygen. The government has also been working to prevent shortages of oxygen with the rise in the number of people being hospitalized. In anticipation of a COVID-19 surge in Guyana, the Ministry of Health requested technical support from the Pan American Health Organization to access the oxygen supply infrastructure in regional hospitals and propose measures to scale up the distribution of oxygen. The family of Essequibo businessman Orrin Boston is continuing their call for justice weeks after he was shot dead by a member of the SWAT unit on September 15, 2021 during an anti-crime operation at his Dartmouth, Essequibo Coast house. The family said there has been no contact from the police to update them on the investigation. The file pertaining to the investigation, which was conducted by the Office of Professional Responsibility, was completed and forwarded to the chairman of the Police Complaints Authority, Justice Retired William Ramlal, on September 23. And in the region, the Twin Island Paradise of Antigua and Barbuda is on show at the World Expo Dubai 2020, being held in Dubai under the theme Connecting Minds, Creating the Future. Antigua and Barbuda's pavilion, located at the mobility section of the expo, displays the remarkable strides the Caribbean nation has made in its socio-economic development over the years. Officially opening the doors to the Antigua and Barbuda Pavilion on Friday, October 1, were Minister of Tourism and Investment Charles Fernandez, Chief Executive Officer of the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority Colin C. James, non-resident Ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda to the UAE, HE Ambassador Gilbert Bostane, Senior Sustainable Tourism Officer from the Ministry of Tourism Vashti Ramsey, and Marketing Executive from the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority, Raynell Carroll. And international news. Tanzanian authorities have shut down a television station after one of its hosts read an anti-dictatorship poem. Amir Ayad, a Zitunia TV talk show host, has been arrested and accused of undermining the security of the state. Zituna has been critical of President Kais Saied's recent suspension of parliament and his assumption of almost complete control of the country. State officials said that the channel had been broadcasting illegally. On Sunday, Ayad read out the ruler of Iraqi poem amid Matar on air. Matar is famous for his satirical and critical poems about dictators from the Arab world. Ayad was arrested soon after. His detention is the latest in a series of arrests that have targeted journalists and lawmakers who had expressed their opposition to the president's measures. Boris Johnson has promised to get on with the job of uniting and levelling up the UK in a speech to the Conservative Party conference. In an upbeat address peppered with jokes but light on new policy, the Prime Minister claimed a high-wage, high-skilled economy was being created in the wake of Brexit and the pandemic. He also defended tax rises to pay for the NHS and vowed to fix social care. The 45-minute speech was his first to a conference since the pandemic began. In it, the Prime Minister said that the overwhelming Conservative general election victory in 2019 placed an onus on his government to deliver change demanded by voters. The main theme of his speech was leveling up, with the PM saying that reducing gaps between regions would ease pressure on southeastern England while boosting places that felt left behind. And in sports, Indian Premier League, Jason Roy hits 44 as Sunrisers Hyderabad beat Royal Challengers Bangalore. Bottom place Sunrisers Hyderabad won their third game of this year's Indian Premier League with a 4-run victory over Royal Challengers Bangalore. Jason Roy hit 44 off 38 balls as Sunrisers posted a 141 for 7 from 20 overs. Needing 13 from the final over in Abu Dhabi, RCB fell short of the target despite Glenn Maxwell's 25-ball 40. Virat Kohli's side remain third in the table and are now unlikely to overtake second place Chennai Super Kings due to an inferior net run rate. A top 2 finish means teams have 2 opportunities to qualify for the final, which is on the 15th of October. England have held positive talks with Cricket Australia as they seek to move a step closer to confirming the Ashes can go ahead as planned. Discussions between CA, the England and Wales Cricket Board, the Professional Cricketers Association and players took place on Tuesday. They are believed to have been better than a previous meeting on Sunday. The ECB will meet on Friday to decide whether or not the series, due to begin on the 8th of December, will take place. England's players have raised concerns over the conditions of the tour, including whether or not their families will be allowed to travel, quarantine arrangements, and any other potential bubble they might have to live in. After Sunday's meeting, the ECB said the tour could be called off if the conditions were not acceptable or if too many England players opted against traveling. And that's the news at this time. Special credits to Guyana Chronicle, Newsroom, iNews, Caribbean News Service, Caribbean News 360, BBC, and CNN. You can visit www.realfmgy.com for these stories and more.